Every time you turn your key, a microscopic war breaks out between metal surfaces, and the only thing standing between you and a $10,000 engine replacement is a thin film of oil. But is the premium synthetic you're buying actually protecting your engine, or are you just paying for clever marketing? Today, we're stripping away the branding and examining the hard data. I analyzed 5 of the biggest names in the industry: AMSOIL, Mobil 1, Pennzoil, Valvoline, and Castrol, all tested in the industry standard 5W30 viscosity grade. We're diving into lab results manufacturers rarely advertise to reveal which oil truly defends your engine and which may thin out when you need it most. Fully independent oil studies like this are incredibly rare. While some of the comparison tests we reference follow strict ASM procedures and are performed by legitimate third-party labs, they are usually funded by the oil companies themselves. AMSOIL, Castrol, and Mobil 1 regularly commission these tests. And while the results are scientifically accurate, the test designs often play to the sponsor's specific chemical strengths. To find the unbiased truth of real-world engine life, we turn to the crowdsourced data from thousands of consumer-submitted used oil analysis or UOAS sent to labs like Blackstone Laboratories. Because these samples come from real drivers in real-world conditions, they don't represent a controlled laboratory study, but rather a practical roadmap of trends, wear protection, and surface integrity. The narrative of engine longevity often begins where metal meets metal, specifically within the sliding contact of pistons and the high-pressure environment of the camshaft. To measure an oil's ability to maintain its integrity under these forces, the industry relies on the ASMD 4172 4-ball wear test, which measures the wear scar diameter left on steel balls after 1 hour of friction. Independent testing data, often cited by AMSOIL, that is performed by third-party facilities, places the AMSOIL signature series at the leading edge of this metric, recording a wear scar as low as 0.35 millimeters. AMSOIL markets this under the claim of 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard, a claim that leans on their specific additive formulation. In contrast, standard retail synthetics typically cluster in the 0.4 to 0.45 millimeter range. Mobil 1 Extended Performance, which brandishes the slogan "keeps your engine running like new," usually delivers a competitive but slightly larger scar around 0.44 in these standardized lab trials. This does not necessarily equate to engine failure, but rather a different approach to surface film chemistry. While the 4-ball test provides benchmark, the investigative eye must turn to high temperature, high shear viscosity, or HTTHS, governed by ASMD 4683. This test measures a fluid's resistance to flow in the narrowest, hottest gaps of a running engine, such as the journal bearings. A higher HTTHS number indicates a thicker protective film at 150 degrees centigrade. Penso Ultra Platinum, which uses a natural gas to liquid base oil technology, consistently maintains high HTTHS stability because its molecular structure is inherently more uniform than crude-based synthetics. Used oil analysis reports from Blackstone Laboratories provide the real-world counterpoint to these lab scores. In thousands of consumer-submitted reports, the universal averages for iron, lead, and copper, the primary metals indicative of engine wear, remain remarkably similar across all 5 of these premium brands when oil is changed at standard intervals. This suggests that while AMSOIL or Penso may show technical superiority in a lab setting, the protective envelope of Valvoline Advanced Synthetic or Castrol Edge is more than sufficient for the average driver. Valvoline Advanced Full Synthetic markets itself with the 24x stronger protection against engine-killing contaminants claim, focusing on its detergent package. Yet its HTHS and wear car numbers usually sit firmly in the middle of the pack, around 3.0 to 3.1 millipascal seconds. Castrol Edge, featuring its fluid titanium technology, claims to transform its structure under pressure. This is verified by specific high-pressure tests where the titanium additives physically reinforce the oil film strength, preventing contact during high-load, low-speed pre-ignition events. When reading through a Blackstone report, and existing data suggests that an AMSOIL and Pennzoil offer the highest theoretical margins of safety, while Mobil 1 and Valvoline provide consistent, predictable protection that meets the needs of most high-mileage engines without the premium price tag. Cold weather performance. When an engine rests in freezing conditions, the chemical composition of its oil dictates whether the first turn of the key leads to immediate lubrication or several seconds of damaging dry friction. To quantify this, investigators look to the cold cranking simulator test, ASMD 5293, which measures apparent viscosity under high shear at sub-zero temperatures. At minus 30 degrees centigrade, the differences between these premium synthetics become stark. AmSoil Signature Series frequently records the lowest viscosity in independent third-party lab trials, often measuring around 3,727 centipoises. This is nearly 40% lower than the industry limit of 6,600 centipoise, supporting their marketing claim of superior cold start protection. In contrast, Castrol Edge, which advertises fluid titanium technology, often sits near the higher end of the spectrum, around 6,600 centipoise in some 5W30 batches. While this remains within the legal limit for a 5W-rated oil, the physical resistance the starter motor must overcome is nearly double that of the AMS oil formulation, a factor that investigative reviewers suggest could lead to increased battery and starter wear over several harsh winters. The narrative of flow continues down to the pour point ASMD 97, the precise temperature where oil ceases to behave as a liquid and becomes a solid. Mobil 1 Extended Performance markets itself as an advanced full synthetic designed to perform from extreme heat to extreme cold. And its pour point, typically verified at minus 45 degrees centigrade, backs this general versatility. However, when we look at Penso Ultra Platinum, the natural gas to liquid base stock offers a distinct advantage. Because the molecules are synthesized from a pure gas, they lack the wax impurities found in crude-derived oils, allowing it to maintain a pour point near minus 48 degrees centigrade. Valvoline Advanced Full Synthetic usually provides a pour point of minus 39 degrees centigrade, which is more than adequate for most continental climates, but places it a tier below the natural gas or high PAO base stocks in absolute extreme environments. Hundreds of used oil analysis from vehicles in cold climate regions like Minnesota and Canada reveal that the universal averages for iron, the primary wear metal, remain consistent across these brands. This suggests that as long as the oil meets the SAPE J300 standard, the practical difference in engine wear might be negligible for a well-maintained vehicle. However, the curiosity remains for the driver who must start their vehicle at US 30 degrees centigrade daily. The ANSOIL and Penso figures suggest a scientific margin of safety that standard off-shelf synthetics like Valvoline may not match on paper. High temperature and oxidation stability. When an engine operates under extreme stress, the chemical stability of its oil is the only barrier against a gradual thickening sludge. NOC Volatility ASMD 5800 serves as the industry's thermal lie detector, measuring the percentage of oil that evaporates at 250 degrees centigrade. High evaporation not only leads to oil consumption, but leaves behind a thicker, unbalanced fluid that can no longer reach tight tolerances. AmSoil Signature Series frequently benchmarks itself at an industry-leading 6.7%, a figure corroborated by independent lab audits. Mobil 1 Extended Performance typically records around 8.8% solidly within the 15% limit set by the API-SP standard, yet suggesting a formulation that prioritizes general accessibility over specialized evaporation control. Meanwhile, Penso Ultra Platinum consistently stays near the 7 to 8% range, offering the inherent purity of synthesized molecules, which naturally resist burn-off better than traditional crude-derived competitors. The investigative lens narrows further when we consider the TIOS 33C ASMD 6335 test, which simulates the searing environment of a turbocharger shaft by pumping oil over a rod heated cyclically up to 480 degrees centigrade.